Welcome inside episode 454 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountain on a Senators game day. Ottawa down in Tampa against a team they just shut out 4-0 last Saturday. Pilsy, it's time to keep the good vibes rolling.
Oh, yeah, definitely want to keep the good times rolling if you're the Ottawa Senators. And Anton Forsberg looking to keep things rolling. We'll see who the Tampa Bay Lightning decide to put out. They disrespected the Sens, putting their backup in last time. I don't think that's going to happen this time, Ross, because it was a 4-0 beatdown of the Lightning. So we'll see what strategy they go with. And not so good vibes, Ross. The COVID situation continues to escalate, and the Senators have announced that they will now be only operating at half capacity for their home games. So tough for Sens fans that were just getting excited about these vibes.
Wait, ready? I'm a Leafs fan. That's not going to affect the Senators, though. They always play at half capacity. Oh, yeah, save it for somebody who cares. That being said, all of Ontario, sporting capacity, half, and we'll see what the next steps are. But the Senators are set to play tonight, although COVID did affect the Belleville Senators as their game yesterday postponed. So we got to keep track of that, but we know you listen to this show for the breakdowns, analysis, and the good vibes. So we're going to try to maintain that throughout. The Sens have won 4 of 5 games. We're hoping to continue that throughout this show. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Thursday, December 16th, and Pilsy, remember about 5 years ago, it was the trip of death through California when you had to play Anaheim, LA, and then San Jose? Certainly feels that way through Florida, but when you win 8-2 in the first half of it, you're certainly riding high into a battle against the back-to-back champs.
Ross, they just outscored the Florida teams 12-2 in the last 2 games. So if you're the Sens, this is the exact team you want to face. You're licking your chops saying, like, we just beat them 4-0, and then down the road, we just had an 8-2 victory. So this is a good time to play Tampa, although a big difference, I think, Ross, if I remember correctly, last time Anthony Cirelli was out of the lineup. He's now back in the lineup, so that's a nice boost for Tampa, but still not the Lightning roster we've been accustomed to seeing in their back-to-back Stanley Cup years.
We'll expect to see Andrei Vasilevskiy in goal as well. Brian Elliott earned his first loss against the Ottawa Senators in what was his 12th game.
Regulation, yeah.
Exactly, right. Yeah, it was like 9-1-2, I believe.
I think it was 7-0-2, something like that, yeah.
All right, there you go. So tonight, you expect Vasilevskiy, who has worse numbers against the Ottawa Senators than he does against any other team in the NHL. Crazy. Bring it on.
Yeah, like one of the top tier, like, I can say it confidently, the best goalie in the league, Vasilevskiy.
Easily.
Like maybe you could debate Hellebuck, but
no,
even that I don't think scratches the surface. Like, he's the best goalie, and he struggles up against the Ottawa Senators. It's just wild to think of. So either way, I think the Sens are with these good vibes going and the players riding an all-time high. I think even with Vasilevskiy, and maybe it'll be a lower scoring game, but they still have a decent fighting chance here.
Lower scoring game, but Andrei Vasilevskiy has allowed 38 goals against Ottawa in 12 games. Let's go here.
Maybe we'll hit the over. Jeez.
895 save percentage, which I mentioned, literally worse than any other team he's played more than just a couple times. So Ottawa, maybe you have that as a little bit of a confidence boost in your back pocket, but in all seriousness, this Tampa Bay team cannot be taken lightly. I don't think he's back tonight, but I did see that Nikita Kucherov has begun skating as well. So this Lightning team, Cirelli's back, but Point and Kucherov out of the lineup once again. So an opportunity for Ottawa, yes. And I bet you DJ Smith would say they're more focused on what's going on in their own locker room. Do you think it's going to be the same lineup as the last 2 games? We know JBD's been called up. Bernard Docker has been in practices, and some fans really upset that he hasn't been able to get his feet wet in an NHL game since the one that we don't talk about.
Yeah, I would be shocked, Ross, if at this point DJ Smith changes the lineup, right?
Yeah, he's lost the need to tell the media his lineup the day before. Have you noticed that? Gord can't even get it out of him anymore.
I hate when coaches do that. That's like a power trip, right?
Exactly.
They're like, I've got this power over you. Like, especially if you're not changing the lineup. Like, let's say he went Galaxy Brain and is like, I'm not telling you guys the lineup. And then the lineup comes out, Adam Gaudette, second line center. Like, okay, then
That's
like
the
sure.
opportunity of his career.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Then build the suspense and drop it, and then tweet out the "Here we go" Joker gif like Brady Tkachuk did, or something like that. But if you're keeping the same lineup for the fourth straight game, just tell us. Jeez, come on. But yeah, I do understand the frustration with JBD sitting. I mean, this is coming off of a presser where DJ Smith made it very clear we're now focusing on development, and they call up one of their most prized prospect defensemen and then don't play him. So it's very, very strange what's going on. But at the same time, if you're a coach, I bet he's very superstitious, former NHL player as well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't blame him on that, because if you would have told me, Ross, 2 weeks ago that the Senators in a 3-game stretch up against Tampa, Florida, and Tampa would win 2 out of 3, regardless of what the result is tonight, and outscore them 12-2, I never would have believed you. So if this is the process, if this is the lineup that gets it done, go for it.
See, where I kind of shake my head, and again, I think that this is valuable time for JBD to be in meetings, on the practice ice, learning the ins and outs of pro hockey on a road trip. I don't know if Dylan Hetherington playing 8 minutes a night is the difference between Ottawa winning and losing these games. So if you make one little change, it's not going to throw the whole balance off, as superstitious as these coaches can be.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I'm not arguing on DJ Smith's side. I'm just saying that's probably where he's at right now.
His
and yeah,
process.
Yeah, exactly. Why not get JBD in for those 8 to 10 minutes instead? Definitely, I hear you there. But Hetherington's probably sitting there being like, "You can't take me out, DJ. I'm the good luck charm here, right?" So yeah, I don't know, and especially like. I was a little disappointed that they called JBD up, because I wanted him playing top pair minutes in Belleville, but with Belleville games getting postponed now, like I'm on your side here. It's better to, if he's not going to play in Belleville, have him up in the NHL in an NHL atmosphere, learning these things. Sure, that's fair, but yeah, why not get him in a third pair role when we know like JBD was decent in a top 4 role? Like I think he can be effective in a third pair role. So I'd like to see that too. Don't think it's going to happen, though. At least not in this game.
Exactly, right? And if you look at the last 2 games, Dylan Hetherington's played 19 and a half minutes. Nick Holden has played 14 minutes shorthanded.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very clear that he's the 6th defenseman. I mean, that is the most obvious thing I've said on this show. But with Dylan Hetherington, I mean, he hasn't made any critical errors. So
that's the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing. Just keep riding him out there. But the irony that Victor Mete is playing his offside as a small defenseman, but Eric Brandstrom could never.
Yeah, that
could never.
Yeah, I mean, coaches are funny that way, right? Like they'll have their stands and they'll fight it to the death, and then one day they'll be like, "No, actually, I'm smarter than all you guys, and now was the right time to switch my stance." Whatever. If this paves the way for Brandstrom to play on the right side, that's fine. Because I really do think if the Senators are going to hold on to Brandstrom, and they need to make a decision quick because he's not going to be able to go through waivers next season, then he needs to be on the right side. We've already talked about it. It's going to be Chabot and Sanderson, the top pair, or the top 2 pair punch on the left side. There's no, Brandstrom cannot outplay those guys. I'm very certain of that. And you can't have Brandstrom playing a third pair, or you shouldn't at least have him playing a third pair role on the left side. So if he's going to have any success and be put in a position where I think he should be, he needs to learn how to play on the right side in the NHL. So if Mete paves the way for him to do that, that's good.
So we're at a point now where Brandstrom is over 4 weeks in to his broken hand and being an upper body injury. He's already started skating. Now it'll be about getting a feel for the puck and getting back onto the ice. One last note on JBD. Funny note here on Twitter from at Tim McKee _CD. He goes, JBD's getting a very well-paid Florida vacation. And hey, who would hate to get out
These
of the cold
days,
weather?
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, getting a vacation in Florida with the boys, nice.
Yes. So the Senators are in Tampa tonight. We've still got our locked on player, our lookout player, and keys to an Ottawa Senators victory. The Senators accomplished both of those against Florida, and well, the rest was history as they beat the Panthers 8-2. After tonight's game, the Sens will be off to Philadelphia to wrap up the road trip on Saturday before coming home to a half-capacity crowd against the Boston Bruins on Sunday afternoon. So we'll touch on all that coming up on the Locked On Senators podcast. I want to thank everybody for everyone making Locked On Senators your first listen of the day or watch, as you can subscribe to the show on YouTube. We've seen a huge boost in both views and subscribers on our YouTube channel. We hope to keep that rolling. I think a big part of it, Pillsy, is the postcast, everybody's favorite 5-2 in the postcast era.
I mean, the postcast is good vibes, and like I think that's one thing, Ross. Like we're just fans like you guys, and we're just trying to enjoy watching this team. So when it is enjoyable to watch this team, let's come together and enjoy it all as a fan base. And that's what the postcast is all about. We're just shooting the breeze, no prep, no editing, no nothing, just live stream, vibes, reactions, jokes. You guys can hop in on the chat if you have questions. We usually get to them. Ross is manning the chat as always. And yeah, it's just a good time, especially when the Sens are pounding these Florida teams.
So make sure you join the postcast tonight after the Ottawa Senators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. 7 o'clock start down in the Sunshine State, and we'll be right live on YouTube. I would say about 9:45 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you there. Before we get to that, though, there's lots left in Locked On Senators show today because Jakob Chychrun, trade rumors, every team should at least inquire on the services of a defenseman who's locked up for 3 more years at a very reasonable salary, an absolute star defenseman. But would he be a fit on the Ottawa Senators? We'll get to that. But Pillsy, you got a note from our friends at Stat Hero.
Oh yeah, guys, daily fantasy sports is so exciting, especially because, you know, with sports gambling, with, long league-wide fantasy leagues, you're not always dialed in every night. Whereas daily fantasy sports, let's say you got the night off work, you're able to sit down and watch some games. Why not get a little action in on it? And daily fantasy sports is the way to do that. But Stat Hero is not your average daily fantasy sports because traditionally it's a long-term losing proposition and you never know who you're up against. But Stat Hero is the first of its kind. And this is so awesome, where it's you versus the house, mano a mano. Head-to-head fantasy matchup, winner takes all. It's simple. And here's the crazy part. Stat Hero even shows you their lineup before you play, and you can handpick the team you want to beat them. This is never seen before innovation of fantasy sports, and the odds are usually 4 times better. Why? Because you don't have to compete against thousands. Like, have you ever done these daily fantasy challenges where you make your lineup, you go into the league, and it's like, oh, wow, I just have to beat out 9,999 other people to get some money. No, all you have to do is beat the house. With Stat Hero, you are in control of your stakes as well. So let's say you found a really good matchup, and you're like, yeah, this is a winner. Push all your chips in. Let's say you're not really sure. Go a little less. That's the beauty of Stat Hero. Stat Hero is head-to-head fantasy sports, one-on-one. And Ross, here are the matchups we're looking at for today. It's veterans versus rookies isn't quite appropriate here, so we'll call them young guns. The veterans versus the young guns. You got to choose which lineup is going to be better. Is it Nick Bonino, Mark Stone, Kyle Palmieri, or Jeff Petrie? Or the young guns, Newhook, Kaprizov, Tage Thompson, and Nick Hague. So make your choice today at Stat Hero. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey and use promo code hockey for a 100% deposit match. So you put $100 in, bingo, bango, bongo, you're getting $100 back. I was so excited to rip my headphone out there. So go to stathero.com/hockey, use promo code hockey for a 100% match. I'm not kidding, guys. stathero.com/hockey, promo code hockey, terms and conditions apply. Check it out today, guys.
You can advertise with Locked On Senators. If you want to get your brand out there, hit us up on Twitter at Sens Central or shoot us an email, which you can find in the business inquiry on our YouTube. All right, Pillsy, it's December 16th. Always a fun day in Sens history because I froze my tail off alongside 20,000 other Sens fans at Lansdowne Park to watch the Senators shut out the Montreal Canadiens. I'm pulling up a photo there that night. You can just see how cold it is from there. A few beers definitely helped that, although you had to drink the beers quick, Pillsy, or they'd freeze on you.
Yeah. Ross, not going to lie, I'm glad you had a good experience. I'm glad the Sens won, but I'm also glad that I was not at that game. That looked cold, and for a low-scoring game, like I couldn't imagine, well, I can't imagine this in any sense, but being a Habs fan at that game, that is sad. So for all the Sens fans that battled through that cold and were able to enjoy that victory, this is one to remember. That's for sure.
How about Craig Anderson getting a shutout in that game? That's awesome. You live for that kind of stuff when you're a fan of a team, and you'd be like, wow, you froze and literally didn't get to see a goal. Now, if you're a Sens fan, it was great because, of course, Pajot scored. It was against the Habs, so naturally he gets on the board. Then in the third period, Bobby Ryan strip steal Selly, and then Nate Thompson put it away with an
Nice.
empty netter, assisted by Mark Stone. Ottawa outshot Montreal in that game as well, 38-28. It was a complete beatdown, and man, that was right after the run to the conference finals. And you look at this roster only 3 months later, and it's like you can see why things fell apart. Like, anyway, so I'll leave it at that. That's a little on the depressing side there.
Anyway,
the last thing I'll show you on YouTube, though, those tickets are old school, sweet, old school tickets. So, hey, great memory in Sens history. Great for them to come out on top. I've been to both outdoor games. The Senators are undefeated when there's no there was a roof in Vancouver, actually, because it was raining. It was one of those retractable roofs, but
yeah,
they're undefeated in stadiums. How about that?
Well, I'll give you that one, Ross. And the fake snow wasn't quite as cold in Vancouver, I would guess.
Yes, that is true. But the atmosphere being a home game, certainly give me the Ottawa game instead. Although the Vancouver game was fun because that was when they started Eddie Lack over Roberto Luongo.
Yeah,
there was turmoil in Vancouver, and 7 years later, not much has changed over there. All right, now we got to touch on this. The province of Ontario has cut capacity in all sporting venues to half. So no more 15, 16,000 crowds. Of course, the stadium seats 18,500. So now the capacity will be just under 10,000 for Sens games going forward. How much does this worry you that this is the first step to shutting everything down?
I mean, it's definitely a concern, right? Like you're cutting fan attendance in half. That's a big deal. Yeah, it's tough as a fan of the game. Obviously, you don't want to see it. And Ross, we got a chance to go to a couple Sens games, and the home opener was electric. The preseason game, it was a packed house in Winnipeg. It was a great feeling to get back to normal. But you got to remember that this is being done for everyone's safety. It's being done because it needs to be done. Yeah, I actually have my finger on the trigger here, Ross. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying any sort of health advice or saying that I know what's happening here. But it's times like these, you got to just trust that it's the best decision. And look, it could be worse, right? Like they could have just said, all right, no fans. We're going back to how it was a couple years ago. And that would be devastating, I think, for the fans and for the players. Like, I can't imagine these players trying to get hyped for NHL games with zero fans. Like, these guys have been playing probably in packed buildings since they were teenagers. Like, most of them playing in junior, if not college. Those are packed barns. Like, you're used to feeding off the energy that a crowd provides. So for them to have to kind of internally build up that excitement and that momentum is going to be difficult for sure.
And you look at the COVID situation, I think over 50 players right now are in COVID protocol, including a handful from the Florida Panthers who just played the Ottawa Senators. So you're like, oh no, are we doing this again?
Yeah.
And especially like two of the guys who tested positive, Sam Bennett, who was pounding Zach Sanford's face in, and then Radko Gudas, who was in the mix in every scrum. So you're just hoping and praying that everything is above board here and that this game can go on tonight and that everybody's safety is all good. So that's obviously a situation that we're going to be keeping our eye on, but the vibes are too good right now to weigh ourselves down with negativity because the Ottawa Senators are winners of 4 of their last 5 games. They've beat 3 Stanley Cup contenders over that span. Sorry, New Jersey, I'm not going to keep you in the mix when we're talking about Stanley Cup contenders, but Ottawa's certainly going up against one tonight. So let's get into previewing that game. But first, Jakob Chychrun might be available. What could he be had for? I'll let Pillsy answer that one right after a word from our friends at Primal Origin Oils. Got beard? Get Primal. Yeah, you heard that right. Got beard? Get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get Primal. Maybe you're the guy who has never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product. Well, Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. Their goal is to help others look good, live healthier lives through the use of natural oils. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with a low impact on our planet. Check out primaloriginoils.com to learn more about their full line of beard care products. Use the code LOCKEDON for a 20% discount at checkout. The combo kit makes a great holiday gift, and if you're shopping for yourself, you'll be glad you did. We know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and feel in beard to other companies you've used. We promise you will see and feel the difference. Remember, the code Locked On gets you 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. That's code Locked On at checkout at primaloriginoils.com for 20% off. It's primaloriginoils.com. All right, Pillsy, quickly before we turn our attention completely on to tonight's game in Tampa, everybody's talking about Jakob Chychrun, and why wouldn't they? What a star defenseman, and if he's available, there's got to be at least 20 teams with serious interest in acquiring him. Should Ottawa be among those in the mix?
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, you got to show interest. You got to see kind of where things are at, what the price tag is, what the market is, because this is a young defenseman who kind of has it all. Ross? Like 23 years old, 6'2", 210 pounds. He's able to put up points. I mean,
he's a goal scorer for a defenseman too.
Yeah, last season he had 18 goals. He's a -29 this season, Ross.
Throw that out the window on Arizona, though.
Absolutely, but I mean, that is very alarming. Because I was about to say he's good defensively, and then I was like, that's tough to say when he's a -29. But yes, he is playing for the Arizona Coyotes. But this is a guy who, if you put him in the right spot, like he's going to be able. Like I picture him on a pair with a offensive defenseman on his opposite side. Like imagine a pair of him and Brandstrom. If Brandstrom's able to play on the right side, like I think Brandstrom's playing a foot taller if he knows he's got Chychrun beside him to help him out if things get a little physical, right? So, and I haven't seen Jakob Chychrun play a lot, I'll be honest, because don't watch a lot of Arizona Coyote games myself. The Sens haven't played them in quite some time, but if everything on the scouting reports is true of this guy and he's able to perform at the level that he's able to perform in Arizona, put him on a better team and we'll see what happens. And the price tag, like you mentioned, his cap hit is not that bad. This is definitely someone the Senators should be looking at.
Well, that price tag, to me, if I'm Arizona, starts with Jake Sanderson. Oh, you want our unbelievable left shot defenseman who's locked up for 3 more years at $4.6 million? You're basically expediting the developmental process with Jake Sanderson. But to me, you don't do that trade. No chance.
No, not at all.
Even if it's 1-for-1, although if you're Arizona, you probably want some picks involved, make it more of, we've seen what happens when you lean too heavily on a prospect in a trade. You could end up with Erik Brandstrom. Yes. However, I think that if you're Arizona, that would be a fair trade. And if you're Ottawa, it's probably a fair trade. But with where Ottawa is in their rebuild, that's not the right play.
Yeah, and especially when you start to think that, like, sure, You're getting Chychrun for, is it 3 more years left on his deal?
Yes.
3 more years.
At 4.6. Like, that is value.
That's good. But, Ross, how about Jake Sanderson at an entry-level contract for the next 3 years? That sounds pretty good to me too, right? So, and I mean, the Sens have invested so much in Sanderson, it would just be silly. So I think if the Senators were to look at a trade for Chychrun, they'd have to bring a young defenseman back to Arizona. So I think it starts with Brandstrom, but then you'd have to put another blue chip prospect in there, maybe a guy like Greg, something like that. And then you'd probably even have to add a pick onto that. So you start looking at putting all that into a guy like Jake Chychrun, and it starts looking intense. But also, then you start thinking, where's he going to play? You got Chabot. Sanderson's coming up the pipes. You're not going to have Chychrun play on a third pair. You're not going to move any of those guys to their offside. So when it comes down to it, ultimately, it doesn't make sense. But yes, a guy of his caliber at his age, at that cap hit, you have to show some interest and see what the market is on. Yeah.
Yes, you scared me away from any further conversation. Should note his dad played Junior A for the Nepean Raiders, and Ottawa could have just drafted him instead of Logan Brown as he went about 8 picks later. And he fell so heavily. At the start of his draft year, he was considered a number 1 or 2 prospect. He ends up going in the mid-teens. I believe
16th.
I believe that Arizona ended up trading for that pick as well, because they're like, I think they already had a pick, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to pull up that draft year right now, 2016. Yeah, because didn't they take Clayton Keller in that draft as well? Anyways, yeah, they did. They took Keller 7th, and then, man, what
a draft for Arizona. Fine, that's their only good draft ever.
Yeah, no question. But look at the 2 defensemen that went right after Logan Brown. How many problems would that have solved on this Sens back end if you're looking at Charlie McAvoy and Jakob Chychrun, both within 5 picks of when Ottawa took Logan Brown? That is the biggest yikes. Oh, should I mention, this is Pierre Dorion's first draft as Senators GM. He had to
his first move was to trade up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then his second was to trade away Mika Zibanejad. I don't know if he thought Logan Brown was going to replace him down the road, but yeah, how'd that one work out? Although, hey, he's assembled a team that just beat the wheels off of 2 very impressive opponents. And let's show you how the Tampa Bay Lightning line up for tonight's game. This is courtesy of Daily Faceoff, subject to change, but we don't know the starting goalie, although we discussed it's very likely going to be Andrei Vasilevsky. If you're listening, I'll run through it real quick. Pillsy, I'll get your reaction to this team afterwards. It's Stamkos in between Andre Palat and Anthony Cirelli. It's Ross Colton in between Alex Killorn and Mathieu Joseph. Third line is Pierre-Edouard Bellemare in between Pat Maroon and Corey Perry. And the fourth line is recent waiver pickup Riley Nash in between Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish. Now, there's a weird story about those two. They've played together minor hockey, OHL, drafted in the same year to Tampa Bay, and now they're roommates in the NHL after playing the minors together. So those two, you could probably say they've got a little bit of chemistry. On the back end, Victor Hedman with Jan Ruta, Ryan McDonough with Zach Bogosian, and Mikhail Sergachev with Cal Foote. Yes, that is the son of former Avalanche star Adam Foote. And then we mentioned Vasilevsky and or Brian Elliott. I say and because the Sens put up an 8 spot, and the Florida Panthers left in Spencer Knight for all 8 tucks.
Yeah.
That's tough to do to a 21-year-old goalie, but if they do that to Vasilevsky, I'll be all for it. Who's your lookout player on that Tampa roster?
My lookout player is going to be Anthony Cirelli. He wasn't with the Tampa Bay Lightning last time these two teams played. He's up on that top line. He's one of those guys that Yzerman just found, and it ended up working out amazing for him, and he's a big part of this team. So for the Tampa Bay Lightning to get him back is a big boost for them. So I'm going to be looking out for him for sure.
Yes, for me, how can you go anywhere but Steven Stamkos? Like, he was so dangerous in that first period against Ottawa in the power play, and he's got that patented one-timer just like Alex Ovechkin and just like Josh Norris, as we could throw him in the mix there because of his recent tear, or should say his whole career, man. 30 goals in 85 games. Sheesh. However, for me, it's got to be Steven Stamkos. Like, you look at the rest of this lineup, like, especially up front, this is not too scary.
Nope.
No, like without Point, without Kucherov, right? You're taking out 2 top 3 forwards on this team. No team can
I mean,
really
Kucherov is a top 3 player in the league, even. Like, holy
top 3
moly.
winger. I'll give you
Winger,
top
yeah.
3
Okay,
winger
winger.
because you know David Matthews and McKinnon might have something to say about me.
Matthews?
Yeah, I mean lower point per game pace. If you're looking at 82 games, than Drake Batherson.
That's what I was setting you up for there.
There
I'm
you
glad
go.
you
Thanks.
picked it up.
I hit it right out of the park. That's
Boom.
a little chemistry through 454 episodes of this show. But when we're looking at this Lightning team, man, you can take advantage of them. And they're good. They've been playing well. At home, they are, I want to say 9 wins. Yeah, 9-3-2 on home ice. Actually, the exact same record as they have on the road. So we know that they're no stranger to winning games. John Cooper just became the quickest head coach, I believe, to 400 wins. They know how to put up victories, and it's a tough place to play, but hopefully the Snowbirds will be out in full force. We know Dave Bush will be at the game. Go follow him at Dave Bush Comedy and go have a beer with him if you can, if you're down there. We'd love to, but unfortunately we won't be able to make it down to the Sunshine State just yet, although I'm going to be in the area next week for a couple of days, hopefully. Hopefully is the key word to everything these days. But who's your locked on player for the Ottawa Senators going up against Tampa?
My locked on player. Wait, let's see if I can get this right. Yes. Tim Stützle. For those not watching on YouTube, I'm pointing at my Stützle jersey. He is on a 3-game point streak. And Ross, we just looked at those lines. Look at the second line he's going to be going up against. That is a very beatable line if you're looking at straight head-to-head matchups. And like Tim Stützle, keep shooting that puck, keep using your shot. That's what I've been saying for so long, and it's starting to really show that that's a key part of his game, is getting confidence through his shot. So I want him to keep using his shot. I want him to dominate that other line. And Ross, before you do your locked on player, I'm just going to segue into my key to the game. And look at, Ross, can you flash the lines once more for Tampa? For those watching on YouTube?
Yep.
Look at the center depth position. All the way down. Stamkos, obviously elite. But then you have Ross Colton, Belmar, Riley Nash. I want the Senators to dominate in the faceoff dot tonight. Even if you look at their faceoff stats in the league, they're right beside each other. I think the Sens are like 48.3 and the Lightning are 48.7, if I remember correctly. So these two teams are very close faceoff wise, but now you're getting easier matchups in the dot. I want to see Tim Stützle beat the wheels off of Colton in the face-off dot tonight. He's taken a couple face-offs every game, like 3 or 4, and he's had some okay luck, but I want to see him really take on this challenge, shoot the puck, win the face-offs, because if the Sens can win these face-offs, it's going to be tough for Tampa to break the puck up the ice with the forward group that they have. There's still a really good D-core, so if they win the face-off, Stamkos snaps it back to Hedman, he's probably going to be able to break that puck out. But if you win the faceoff, they're going to struggle to have those wingers beat you out, turn the puck over, and get it going the other way. So faceoffs are going to be huge here. So Tim Stützle, shoot the puck, win those faceoffs.
I like that. And I'm pulling up the Ottawa Senators lines. Nothing changes, but we'll run through it quickly. Again, for everybody listening, we appreciate you bringing Locked On Senators in your car, wherever you listen. Actually, I'm curious where people listen. Hit us in the comments.
Listen anywhere.
You can absolutely anywhere. Here we go. Josh Norris in between Brady Tkachuk and Drake Batherson. Is that good? Yeah, probably due for a goal or two tonight. Tim Stützle in between Formanton and Connor Brown. The third line is Dylan Gambrell between Nick Paul and Austin Watson. And the fourth line is Tierney between Sanford and Ennis. TSN 1200 still trying to convince you that Tierney is on the third line. He is not. That is the fourth line. DJ Smith will be the first to tell you that. On defense, Thomas Chabot with Nikita Zaitsev, Nick Holden, O'Doyle rules with Artem Zub, and then Dylan Hetherington with Victor Mete. Still no starting goalie announced. DJ Smith is a very sneaky man now who will not announce his starting goalies or lineup changes. Now, my locked-on player for the Ottawa Senators tonight, is Dylan Gambrell actually a good player? That's what I'm going to be watching for tonight because he's been added to the penalty kill. He scores a shorthanded goal in Florida. He's Lalim's Martians player of the game on our Sens Central standout on our podcast the other night in an 8-2 win. I want to see what he can do for an encore. And you brought up the depth or lack thereof right now for Tampa. Well, What do you know? Since Nick Paul's been on that line, maybe they can be a legitimate third line. So I'm going to be locked on Dylan Gambrell tonight. I want to see him with that whole line. Like Austin Watson gets a goal. Nick Paul gets a goal. That whole line contributed offensively against Florida. So let's see them do it again. So I'm locked on Dylan Gambrell.
Yeah, I love that. And, Gambrell's a guy we kind of said all year, like, he doesn't really do much. Like, he doesn't move the needle one way or another. But I think he's starting to catch a stride. I think finally he's got the proper line mates. Not that he had mismatched line mates before, but I think they've found the right chemistry. Nick Paul's in the right spot. Austin Watson is starting to heat up here after an injury, after COVID. It takes a while to get your legs going again. I can appreciate that. So that's great. And yeah, they're going to have a chance to go up against a line that I think they can beat. Like, maybe not dominate, but I definitely think they have another good chance here. And Gambrell gets the monkey off his back, gets a shorthanded shootout goal. Basically, he had the whole ice to himself. So that's a big confidence boost. Nick Paul, he gets some goals, and Austin Watson scores as well. So that line's got to be feeling good. We're supposed to be the shutdown line, and we're out there scoring goals. So that's awesome.
Yes, and it was Dylan Gambrell's first goal of the season, and he hadn't scored in the last 13 games of last year with San Jose.
Been a while for the kid. Yeah.
So how good's he feeling coming off of that? And he's been a big media guy. Hey, they have him out there, pre-game availabilities, post-game, you name it. This guy's right there in front of the camera.
Yeah, it seems like a good kid. And also, like, I think Gaudette was brought in to kind of maybe overtake Gambrell, but Gambrell's been like, nah, this is my spot. He's not taking it. And shout out to him. He's made it clear that he is a guy. And the Senators, they needed kind of a defensive-minded center. So it's nice that Gambrell fits that role.
Absolutely. Good point. Now, if we're looking at a key to victory, if the Senators are going to win their 5th in their last 6 games, where would you point to?
Well, I already did the face-off, so I'm
You're stick with that?
Yeah, I'm sticking with face-offs. Are you going to go score first, Ross?
No, I'm going to, well, in a way, kind of, because you don't want to change a winning lineup, right, Pilsy? But what I will say is withstand the initial barrage, because these Lightning, they were a little embarrassed, I'm sure, after Saturday's performance. So if I'm coming in as the road team in their home rink, I'm expecting them to come out absolutely flying, and they just came off a win too. So they got their mojo back after that shutout loss. That loss to Ottawa, by the way, is their only loss in their last 7 games.
Wow. Yep. Nice.
So you got to think they have
probably the only time they've been shut out all year too. I would guess that's an assumption, but
they have a few shutouts. Goals for. Yes, it is the only time they've been shut out all season long. So if you're the Senators, you're trying to withstand that initial attack that we know Tampa Bay is going to come flying for the first 3-4 shifts and then put the pedal to the metal. That is when the Gambrell line is going to be most important, I think. Their first 3-4 shifts of the game and then get into the flow. And once you withstand that initial attack, then you turn the ice on its head and just get shots on Andrei Vasilevskiy. The guy sees the Sens logo and he panics. So that's I'm convinced that the Sens are going to put up at least a 4 spot tonight on Vasilevskiy. There's a new segment. We'll add it to our preview. Hot take. And that's the Sens are going to score 4.
Ross, is really not that hot of a take, because what's Vasilevsky's goals against average against the Sens? It's above 3, no?
Yeah, it's like 3.2, give or take.
There you go. We'll round that up to 4. You round up at 3.2, right, math guys?
Yeah, exactly. You have to. And then if you're the Senators, I mean, they've scored at least 3 goals now in each of their last 6 games.
True.
Including the loss to the Islanders. So
your model looks great here, Ross. I love your model. It's really backing this up.
Oh, when we're talking about me using analytics, we might have to end the show a little early. No, that's awesome. And hey, I'm just excited to see Sens hockey. I mentioned yesterday on Twitter, the only problem with the game against Florida is that we didn't get to see them play again last night. When you win, you want to see them right back out. And if you're the Senators, you get to have that opportunity tonight in Tampa Bay against a team that is always dangerous, despite what you might have seen last Saturday, a team that's tied with the Florida Panthers, the exact same record as the Panthers, only 2 points back of Toronto for first in the Atlantic Division. So if you're Ottawa, you're trying to move up. If they win tonight, they move past the New York Islanders in points. Now, games in hand be damned, but this is a Senators team that's feeling good about themselves. Winners of 2 straight for their last 5. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games, but the vibes will only continue to skyrocket should they, even if they lose by a goal tonight and they put out a good effort. This is a team that you can be proud of again, which is great to see after such a brutal November. What was it? 1 win in 12 games?
1 win in a month. Oh, that was tough, Ross. And just before we wrap up here, Ross, this is usually your plug, but talking about new sponsors and stuff like that, any advertisers that are looking, you know what would be a great idea, Ross?
Ooh.
How about if we got a sponsor for the postcast?
Wow.
And if you're looking, just check out the YouTube numbers for yourself. Check out the vibe ratings for the postcast. Get in on the ground floor. Actually, we're not at the ground floor in the postcast. No. We're at least at the first or second floor. So get in early, and you could have the opportunity to sponsor the Sens postcast. Postcast. I think that would be a great opportunity for us and for a company looking to advertise, because it's usually good vibes. So get your name attached to good vibes and good times on the postcast. That's going to be my ending note, Ross.
Well said. And if you're interested, you can DM us on Twitter at Sens Central, on Instagram, lockedon.senators, or you can shoot us an email. Our link is in the YouTube descriptors. But for now, we say goodbye. Again, you can catch the postcast tonight at about 10 p.m. Eastern. Again, follow along on Twitter, and we'll let you know exactly when we go live. It should be about 10 or 15 minutes after the final whistle. But for today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.